Well, if you don't know, now you do. Billy's done taken down the 3 hour rant. I did a video 2 days ago, and it was part one of reacting to the rant, right? And I get on yesterday morning, get my coffee, get up here, get things ready. I go to find it because YouTube saves your spot. So I'm good shape. I go and it is gone. This was yesterday. It is gone. I was like, oh no. So I go start searching to find it. It's not on his page. It's not in my history. I go to Billy's page. It's not in my history. I can't find it. So I was like, oh crap, am I gonna go ahead and just, well, so I go find somebody because I'm thinking somebody has got to have recorded this whole thing. Sure enough, I think you pronounce his name Cadwell, Caldwell, Cadwell. I'm sorry if I pronounce that as great. Apologetics, and he is a Christian. He's got a good channel, which I'd never seen him before until yesterday because I discovered him, and he did a 5.5 hour commentary reacting to the rant. So he's got the whole rant, the whole 3.5 hour. But I was like, oh man. So I kind of sped it up and just, tried to edit. Well, I pretty much did edit his commentary because you don't want double commentary. Plus, it was 5.5 hours. So I ended up squeezing 5.5 hours into an hour and maybe 40 minutes or something to that effect. But I will put the link in the description from his page to where if you want to go see his commentary, it's 5.5 hours, but it's good. He did a good job. Like I said, he's a Christian. He's knowledgeable. He's way more knowledgeable on the Bible issues than I am. So I do recommend you check him out, or if anything, check out his channel. He covers a lot of scripture and things of this nature. This video I have up on the screen here before I get into reacting to the rant itself. This is IP's channel, and it is called Inspiring Philosopher. So you can just call him IP for short. So he did a live podcast a couple of nights back. And I subscribed to IP. I discovered him on the from David Woods and what's his name? The guy that's an atheist, the apostate prophet. That's his name, apostate prophet. Which I discovered them like a year ago. And a apostate prophet is he's an atheist. But man, does he call out Islam and just if y'all are interested in that, check out Apostate Prophet's channel. Him and David Woods, IP's on there. Sometimes they do these live broadcasts, and some of them are 2-3 hours long, but they're very interesting. If you're interested in that type of theology where they're discussing all the things that are wrong with the Quran, it's pretty good. A Prostate Prophet also has this cartoon on there that he did about Muhammad, and it is hysterical. You need to check that out. So the reason why I'm pulling this up is that Billy Carson had in his rant was saying that he contacted the University of Ontario. So, and I had said, well, there's no University of Ontario because I had seen it on this show prior before me doing that video. So I want to get this up there. And look, and I want to say, if I make a mistake or anything, and sometimes I go back and check and see, did I just misspoke there? Because it happens. I'd misspoke. And this is a teachable moment. for someone like, especially like somebody like Billy could have came out and said, hey, my bad. I needed to do more research. And he could have did a video and said that instead of going on the defense and the attack and just made it just look like, what are you afraid of? You afraid of that you are a charlatan, that you are, where he could have said, I need to do more research. There is something to this. Because the goal in life is every day is a learning experience. Now, I said the Gospels of Barabbas, which that's not it. It's the Gospels of Barnabas. So I was wrong on pronouncing the name, and what a goofball I am. So hey, I made a mistake on the wording, but on the name, which can be a big deal, if people are watching it and they need to know the correct information. So by all means, if I say something goofy, let me know. I will gladly fall on the sword and correct my errors of my ways. And that is how it should be done. So teachable moments for all of us. So we're going to let this play. And this is Wes commentary on IP's channel a few nights back. It was live. I actually watched it while it was live, by the way. Again, I watched it live. I was up a little late watching it because it was, I think it ended up being over 2 hours or something. So I was pretty tired the next morning. I had to get up early. But anyway, we're going to check this out and listen to him talk about the University of Ontario and where he's from. And there's some other things. I'm going to let this play. It's a little lengthy, but I think it's good to show this. All right, let's go.
I'm part of institutions that don't exist. I am part of the NDP, the National Democratic Party of Canada, which I don't know if you Google the NDP. We have 3 major parties in Canada, the Liberals, the Conservatives, and the NDP. It's the equivalent of going online and saying, well, they're part of, he's aligned with the Democrats. And the Democrats, oh man, they're a scary bunch. They're a bunch of leftist criminals. And it's a main party in Canada. I don't know, why you would say that. I'm not sure what he Googled to find out what the NDP was, or why he's accusing me of being ultra leftist, but that's a very strange connection. I don't go to the University of Toronto, or sorry, I do go to the University of Toronto. I don't go to the University of Ontario, which he said multiple times, which doesn't exist. There is no University of Ontario. And I am not connected with any crime syndicate whatsoever. So I am connected with Apologetics Canada, which everybody can.
So y'all remember that he was saying, Bill Carson was saying that there's some kind of crime syndicate. There's like, I was calling it the YouTube crime gang. And he accused them of being in some kind of conspiracy against Billy. It was really unhinged and way far out there. I mean, it was incredible what Billy was saying.
Check out at apologeticscanada.org. Mm-hmm. And I am an elder at West Toronto Baptist Church. But apart from those 2 very reputable institutions, I am not part of any others. I mean, like, if he wants to talk about deficiency, so if this does not show his competency, if he thinks that this is what he would have combated me with, it would have just continued to show that he doesn't know what he's talking about. Because what is on the screen right now, Biblical Archaeological Review or anything other, I don't have any beefs with any of this. Right. Nor does anybody who studies any of this stuff. But he doesn't know what these terms mean. He doesn't know that approximately 14,800 differences between the Codex Sinaiticus and the KJV has nothing to do with undermining either of those documents. It's irrelevant. In fact, I could have opened, and if he had brought this up, I probably would have opened up codexsinaiticus.org and explained to him the differences of word order and spelling difference that probably make up 14,795 of those. Right? Like, right. This is not an issue, but he doesn't know what he doesn't know. If he'd Googled me, he would have found blog articles where I talk about the longer ending of Mark. I have multiple videos where I explain longer ending of Mark. So does Mike. Or the story of the woman caught in adultery. I have public lectures that I have talked about, where I say the story of the woman caught in adultery is not in any manuscript prior to the 5th century, and therefore is, in my estimation, not original to the original document, is not inspired scripture. So but he didn't Google me because he doesn't do his homework. And this shows that he still is not doing his homework.
Oh, yeah. It gets really bad at this point because he was brought up.
And it's another teachable moment, and it should be a teachable moment for Billy and a teachable moment for people who follow him, who subscribe to him. Oh, I'm sorry. Those are his leaders. That's what he called his people who subscribe to him, his leaders. It's dangerous rhetoric. It's blatantly obvious, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen montages of him before he got on the podcast with Wes here, that he has said all the time, and even on his channel, all of this stuff. The crucifixion didn't happen. Jesus was married. He goes on, and we'll get to this here in a little while, but he goes on to say, why he's got something against God. Like, God is ignorant. God does this. God's unjust. God is promoting all these different things throughout the Bible. I mean, it is unhinged and crazy and dangerous speak to people who don't know the gospel. Maybe they're all searching for something. I mean, especially young people, you search for answers. You want to know what's going on. What's my purpose? Do I have, what is the meaning of my life? And this is dangerous for Billy to be spouting these things and not doing his homework. To insinuate that there was no crucifixion, which he has said numerous times on past podcasts, which he tries to claim in his video that, he said maybe, it's possible. But even then, it's dangerous speak when there's nothing backing it up, when you have so much literature and ancient texts that actually say that it happened.
Up was the information about the Sinai Bible, which has a lot of differences than the King James Version of the Bible. It's also called the Codex Sinaiticus.
Okay.
And what I had said in a few podcasts.
Wait, hold on.
The Codex Sinaiticus. The Codex Sinaiticus is what he called it.
I don't know. That sounds like a cereal.
Sinaiticus?
The Codex Sinaiticus. It's like these little square dinosaur-themed crunchy sugary puffs.
I don't know. It sounds like something my chiropractor does. Well, we're going to align your Sinaiticus.
Sinaiticus. Sorry.
Probably on 2 or 3 podcasts.
That's just so we know. I'm just joking. None of us really cares he pronounced that wrong. Everybody pronounces things wrong here and there. That's not a big exposure of his ignorance or anything like that.
That's true.
This other stuff that's not.
Yeah, well said.
As I had mentioned, and of course, reels and clips were made, and they were then edited and put out all over the place. Or that in the Sinai Bible, it appeared that Jesus had never been crucified. I said it's quite possible that Jesus was never crucified. Not once anywhere to say.
That's not.
If you pause that, that's not what he said. And the reel that I have currently, I think he pulled down the one on YouTube. I think that's been pulled. He's at least one of the Sinai Bible clips that I did post on YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. He has taken down with a copyright claim that I've submitted a review of. But nonetheless, he did say, and I posted that and posted multiple clips of him saying on his programs and on the public podcast that he's done, where he specifically says, well, that's not in the Sinai Bible, the crucifixion, that's not in the Sinai Bible. So he did say overtly that he denied that the Sinai Bible has the crucifixion.
Yeah. And so Wes,
Sinaiticus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts of Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians, 1st, 2nd Peter.
I kind of clipped that, but what Mark had asked him is where are all the places you can find the crucifixion, and this is Wes naming off all the writings and ancient texts that clarify this.
1st, 2nd, 3rd John, Jude, and
Galatians, Revelation.
It's arguably in every book of the New Testament.
Yeah,
like you won't find not the crucifixion. In fact, in the 2 documents that are attached onto Codex Sinaiticus after Revelation, the Epistle of Barnabas and the Shepherd of Hermes, because once again, the early Christians would not have thought of this as the Bible. They would have thought of it as containing the Bible.
If Billy had actually read the Codex of Sinaiticus, why would he claim that it wasn't in there? I can't get my mind around that.
This was an ancient library that would have been exorbitantly expensive. It took almost 360 sheep to make. They're culminating all of the Christian documents together. It's also in the Shepherd of Hermes and the Epistle of Barnabas. The crucifixion is just all the way through. Isaiah 53, the crucifixion is in. So, yeah, it's just such a silly.
Would you say? Let me throw something out.
Never crucified. It's quite possible that Jesus was never crucified, or he might not have been crucified, depending on what podcast I was on. So this question came up
on every
during the deepfake as not a question.
Well, you just heard.
So he starts calling the debate a deepfake.
Oh,
he does accuse us of deep faking. He does do that, just to be clear. But at a certain point, he stops calling it a debate and starts calling it a deep fake.
Oh, my goodness gracious! I mean, it's a clever pun, but it's just wrong. There's nothing fake about what happened.
No.
Right, depending on what podcast I was on. So this question,
Depending on what podcast he was on, I mean, once you put something out there, somebody's recording it, somebody is reacting to it, analyzing it, and it is out there forever. And I don't know if he's just trying to get sympathy from his audience, which I had said prior, but it's out there. He's going to be discovered of you said these things. It's just amazing. It is just amazing.
question came up during the deepfake as not a question in a way that it would be asked in a real debate, but it was an attack from the very beginning because they thought they had answers that would debunk whatever I said in a podcast somewhere one day. So the Codex Sinaiticus, often referred to as the Sinai Bible, is a 4th century Greek manuscript of the Bible.
You just pause right there?
The King James Version.
Yeah,
it's not often referred to as the Sinai Bible. We talked about this, but Billy Carson's the only one that I've ever heard called the Sinai Bible.
Yeah, I was scratching my head wondering where he heard that from, and I've never heard.
Completed in 1611. Comparing these two involves examining differences in textual context, translation choices, and theological interpretations. And so here's the textual variations. Scholars estimate that there are approximately 14,800 differences between the Codex Sinaiticus and the King James Version. These variations range from minor discrepancies to wording to significant differences in the content. For instance, the Codex Sinaiticus includes books like the Epistle of Barnabas and the Shepherd of Hermas, which are absent in the King James Version. Notable omissions. Several passages presented in the King James Version are missing from the Codex Sinaiticus. Mark 16:9 through 20. The longer ending Mark detailing the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus is absent, doesn't exist. It's not in there. That's biblical archaeology review. Biblical archaeology review. That's the source. It's one of them. There's 8 sources, but that's just one of them.
So he keeps pushing the fact and doubling down about the crucifixion. This is dangerous speak. This is dangerous to bringing people to Christianity. Christians, that's the whole thing. What's the point if he didn't die to save us from our sins? Because we're all wretched. We're all sinners, and it was miraculous. Jesus died to save us from our sins because none of us are worthy. We're all sinners. Even Christians, we still sin. It's every day that you get up, you're on a struggle. Lord, be with me. Help me not, be too judgmental on people or whatever it is. But it's an everyday struggle that we have Christ in our lives, and Christians, it's the faith. It is the faith that he saved us. And only you can get to the Father is through the Son. So Billy doing this is leading his flock over a cliff.
John 53, 8, 11. The account of the woman caught in adultery is not included. Biblical archaeology review. Source. Luke 24:51. The phrase, and was carried up into heaven, describing Jesus' ascension, is missing. Biblical archaeology review. Now.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that. Yes.
It has nothing to do with the claim he made about Codex Sinaiticus about it lacking the crucifixion. Like the fact that Mark 16:9-20 is on there has nothing to do with the claim he's been making on podcast after podcast, and even said it in the debate with him.
You're muted, Mike.
Mike's muted again.
We've heard this for years from atheists online. Big and well-known atheists who say that Mark, the original Mark, didn't have the resurrection because of the longer ending issue. And yet, if you just open and read till verse 8, you'll see it absolutely has the resurrection, and it doesn't. They're careful in their wording, detailing post-resurrection appearances. Yeah, okay, it doesn't have some more specific details about post-resurrection appearances, but it does, in fact, still have the resurrection account, and there's no question about whether or not they held to those appearances in the Gospel of Mark. Even though Mark implies strongly about the appearances earlier on, even if he isn't narrating it at the end. So I guess Billy is hoping that his audience, now I'm just speculating,
They don't read. They don't know. They don't research. Guys, there's books on the Bible on audio. So if you don't want to read, I mean, there was, it's been a minute since I've listened to it a couple of times over the past few years because I'm fascinated with the book of Revelation, is they have it on audio and some visuals on YouTube. So you could go pull that up and get the whole book of Revelation on audio with some visual with it, and it's amazing and it's awesome. So you could do this with any book of the Bible, or it have the text, the subtitles at the bottom where you could be reading along with it, that kind of thing. And but I think the point I'm trying to make is that I think Billy's audience, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them. He has 1.3 million subscribers. I'm sorry, leaders. That probably don't read the Bible or know the Bible, and he sounds like because he says a lot of stuff. He talks fast. He says a lot of things that are just word salad, but say nothing. But he says dangerous things. Maybe I shouldn't say nothing, but he says dangerous things that people latch on to and believe it. And we all know in the Bible it says in the end times that many will believe, they'll become delusional and believe the lie. So this is a problem. This is a problem that and thank God, and this is a blessing. And we do need to pray for Billy. We need to pray for Billy that he could just get on and say, you know what? There's more to this. And I need to do a deeper dive and a deeper soul searching, because everything he says in this rant, it comes across, and we'll get to that here in a little bit. He has a problem with God. So I don't know what's going on with him that he has such an issue with God and with Jesus. It's so we do need to pray for him. That the Lord will soften his heart, open his eyes, and that he can do his studying. There you go.
That his gospel is still teaching those things. But anyways, yeah, it's this kind of stuff. It ruffles people's feathers. Like the phrase "was carried into heaven" is not present in this particular source, but you read Luke 24:51 in that same source, and it still has the ascension of Jesus. It's just a phrase. The phraseology is different.
Yeah, it's not a point that makes any person who's actually investigated this stuff worry about anything. If he had brought this up, I would have pointed out. In fact, I would have told him the manuscripts where they are present and aren't present. I might have even pulled them off my shelf. Who knows?
Right. And probably a lot of his audience.
In the debate, I pulled off the shelf P66, which was late second century to early third century. I also had P45 and P46. I could have pulled any of the other second century gospel manuscripts off of the shelf and said, like, hey, look, I'm looking at the crucifixion. So yeah, that's an error that he makes, is he confuses this statement that this is our earliest Bible with these are our earliest biblical documents. Because I said to him, yes, this is our first, what we would consider a Genesis to Revelation, all in one single bound document, Bible. But like I said to IP earlier, the Christians would have considered this as containing scripture, not that this was scripture. Like, we now have the Bible in a single unit, and that's normative. That was not normative in the ancient world. And so we have multiple manuscripts that are all independent of one another, that predate Sinaiticus by centuries, that all contain the crucifixion. So once again, it's just, unfortunately, this is him putting on display the fact that for someone who claims that he does his research and has done so since he was a child, he doesn't know what he's talking about.
Come on now.
So Billy puts all his eggs in the basket on the Coda Sinaiticus, and that, in Wes, I don't know why I said Hess. I did that the other day too. And Wes pointed it out to him. Now, Billy's coming across as, I know if y'all seen all of it or seen the beginning part of it, he's like, well, I don't know. He says it's debunked, and then he just said blah, 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 blah. Right. Now, this is Billy. I'm kind of paraphrasing. Billy. So Billy is dismissing the fact that Wes told him. Now, again, if I'm going to defend Billy, yeah, you need to research. Billy could have right then and there, because he was the only one, it looked like to me, on his phone going to Chat GPT or going wherever he was going on his phone. He could have immediately in real time seeing if it was debunked. And when this stuff came out very quickly, instantaneously, we can get information. And Wes had told him where to go and find this stuff. And he could have instantly gone and looked it up.
And get your head on right. This is basic IQ stuff. So the next thing.
Now, when he's saying get your head on right, which I'm going to go over this, I don't know if I'll get to it today because for an hour and 40 minutes, I might do a little bit of commentary and then break it down and do a part 3. But on Billy's channel during this live stream, somebody had typed in, where did you get these sources? And Billy kind of snapped at him and said, hey, which I'll do the full context of it now. This is just clipped for this particular show. Billy says, hey, get your head on straight. I got this. He's defending this, but he doesn't tell his audience where did he get this resources, and he should have, because if somebody's in his audience, and look, during Billy's 3-hour rant, he had like over 12,000 people watching him. Now, out of that 12,000, how many of those you think were people like me or the Cadwell guy and other people who were like, ooh, and clipping it and analyzing it? So, but again, he should, if somebody asked a legitimate question, well, where are you getting these sources? Because maybe they want to look it up too. And he's like, hey, get your head out. And he just dismisses them by saying that, right?
Was about the gospel of Jesus' wife. I'll pull that back up in a minute. The next thing was about the gospel of Jesus' wife. That question came up. So, what's the question? In podcasts, I have been noted as saying, it's quite possible they discovered the gospel of Jesus' wife. Fact. And then I go on to say, in maybe 3 podcasts, it's quite possible that Jesus never died, that he may have been married. And his Merovingian bloodline could still be on the planet till this very day. My wording is very specific and basic. Now, let's take a look at something here. I know these guys are jumping up and down over there. Oh my goodness, we got to debunk it. Go ahead and do what you got to do. Listen, man, I'm the king. I'm the GOAT, okay?
He's the GOAT, guys. He's the GOAT.
Oh, man.
What is that? I've known plenty of people in my life who have different stripes and rough people and tough people. And I've known people who are mentally on the verge. And Billy Carson is concerning.
I mean, that whole theory comes from the book Holy Blood and Holy Grail, which is kind of capitalized on by Dan Brown in the Da Vinci Code. But neither of those are historical sources. They're modern fiction. And so if you're relying on those for the bloodline of Jesus, you're not doing research. You're studying fictional novels.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Billy and people like Billy and Terrence who preying upon conspiracy theorists, New Agers, things of this nature, alien conspiracy, because we all know he just talks about aliens all the time. And the Emerald tablets and all this craziness. So he's putting all this stock in aliens and this God war, and then how we were humans came from that we were gods, but we were kind of created from this God war or whatever. Which, to be honest with you, I didn't go and get knowledgeable of him, the whole detailed thing. I just heard clips. Like I said, I watched him on Joe Rogan. I watched him on The Professor, which the professor just hammered him, and he was talking about this stuff. And I was like, well, what's going on here? So, to me, him putting so much stock into this how the universe was created, according to Terrence, the sun pooped, and according to Billy, it was this God war or whatever, and then we're created from it. But it gives him, he has something against Christianity. He has something against God. So he uses this to lure people in. He probably knows he is full of crap. Like I said in my other video, I said I think he knows exactly what he's doing because it's big money. He has 1.3 million subscribers that are watching his videos. I'm sure he's getting paid to go on these other podcasts and spout this nonsense. And it's his bread and butter. So he doubles down on all of this. So if he believes that the world was created through this God war, he doesn't believe the Bible at all. Why spout two different things? I don't know. I'm just inquiring minds want to know.
And like, man, like I like,
and this was something I didn't want to let him get away with, and I was glad I didn't, because there were other things that I wanted to move on to. But I'm glad, because at the beginning, when Mark asks, "Hey Billy, why do you deny the crucifixion?" "Hey Wes, why do you think it happened?" And Billy says, "Well, I deny the crucifixion because of the Sinai Bible," and he specifically says, "If you go to my podcast and watch my content, I say the Sinai Bible denies the crucifixion." He's very overt in that. And then he kind of dovetails that with the gospel of Jesus' wife, which he says, well, if this is true and Jesus was married then that also casts doubt on Jesus' crucifixion, which I don't think it does, even if that was a legitimate document, which is not and never was in contention to be. But he makes this claim, and then as soon as I debunk Codex Sinaiticus as something that denies the crucifixion, he wants to move on to the Old Testament. But I say, hold on, we need to slow down for a second, because I need to address the gospel of Jesus' wife, because I could not let him get away with that, because the gospel of Jesus' wife is such an overt forgery, and he puts it up on the screen. And I don't think he realizes what he puts up on the screen. If you pull it up, do you have that the timestamp where it was just a few seconds ago, where he puts up the gospel of Jesus' wife? It specifically says that Karen King changed her mind because of the academic evidence. Because of the academic rigor, she changes her mind to comport with reality. I mean, this is not something that evangelical Christian scholars are, because he kind of tries to make it out like, well, this is the church, these are Christians, and they're trying to bury this because this would have an effect on their faith. No, I mean, Mark Goodacre on the NT pod, like Mark Goodacre, who's not a Christian, a very good New Testament scholar, plenty of disagreements there, but he's a good New Testament scholar, on his podcast has multiple episodes where he goes through all the reasons, because he was part of the group that looked at this paleographically and said, something's fishy here. There are things that don't make sense. And then when it was originally discovered that it copied from Grandin's Interlinear, from a PDF version of the Gospel of Thomas, and carried over a mistake in the Coptic, in the phrase, a particular phrase, and this is just a tiny fragment, then that was the nail in the coffin. There were all sorts of things that people were drawing into question beforehand. Karen King was holding her ground, but then when they showed, hey, look, whoever made this copied from the internet, she was like, okay, I concede.
Yeah, that's embarrassing.
All the clips he shows are previous to the bulk of evidence coming out. It's kind of her PR campaign for Harvard University for this find. And even then, they were still saying it was 4th century. It was still 4th century. This is
right. Anybody in the 4th century can write.
If it was such a conspiracy, what Billy is claiming, that the Christians, millions of them across the world, this big conspiracy to hide the fact that he claims that Jesus was married, or even the fact that Jesus wasn't crucified, is crazy. Because like Wes is saying, that the community that they work in, that study the text and study ancient history and ancient all of this stuff, they would discover this. And the Christians could not keep it a secret. I don't see how they could. Right? It doesn't make any sense. Other than the fact that Billy relied on people not calling him out, because of all of these podcasts that he's been on. Joe Rogan didn't call him out on this stuff. And then finally, somebody got him. Billy should have did his research before he headed over there. Oh, well, who's this guy I'm going to be talking to? Give me a moment. He could have immediately Googled Wes and seen this guy has an authority in this field of what y'all are going to be talking about. So I think Billy just finally had somebody to stand up against him and called him out, which is amazing, because how long Billy had been doing this? A while. And spouting all of these things. Now, I know other podcasters and stuff have been calling him out, but to literally have somebody debate him I think just brought it to the forefront and just bam, and it was devastating.
Anything they want.
12. Like we're talking over a decade ago, this was publicized, and then within only a couple of years was outed as a fake. And there's a great book called Veritas by Ariel Sabar. The subheading is A Harvard Professor, a Con Man, and the Gospel of Jesus' Wife. Now, I have disagreements with Ariel Sabar, but as a journalist, he does an incredible job at going to the evidence because he tries to find out who the forger was. And he actually ends up tracking down some people in Europe who could have potentially been the forger. But that Atlantic article that spawned the book was written in 2016. Like, this is not new news. This is not new news. This has been a forgery and an out-and-out forgery for close to a decade. And the fact that Billy is playing clips that have to be from 2012, 2013, maybe at the latest,
It's crazy.
is, I mean, it's sad.
Here's what
Is it possible Karen King was explicitly pressured into stating that the gospel of Jesus' wife was likely a forgery? It's possible to consider factors that may have influenced her acknowledgement of the fragment's questionable authenticity. Scholars, especially those in high-profile positions, can face significant academic, institutional, and public scrutiny, which might feel like pressure. And it could put pressure on them to some degree. So what they're saying is when people are doing these things, when people are coming up with discoveries that could upturn the apple cart, it actually puts a lot of pressure on the Christian community because they have this mainstream ideology that they don't want to bend or break because it's been in place for eons.
So Billy is saying that there's this conspiracy pressure against Carole King to come out and say, yeah, it was a fraud. Oh, man. That's bold. That is bold.
And what kind of academic pressure can they put on you? I'm going to.
That's right, folks. We Christians have pressure on the academic community to only publish things that supports Christianity. They caught us.
I tell that to Biblical Archaeology Review.
Yeah.
Dude,
No
tell
kidding,
that to
right?
SBL, the Society for Biblical Literature. Like,
The evidence was compelling.
Yeah, it was sloppy, the way that she went about this. Now, I mean, we have evidence of this within the evangelical community with people who kind of vouched for, there was a first century Mark fragment back in 2009 that also kind of created a debacle around it too. And I remember one of my mentors saying, when that kind of came to light, he said, Wes, an unpublished manuscript might as well be a non-existent manuscript. Until the broader academic community has seen it, it doesn't exist. And
Right.
so because I was very early into my studies, I was doing presentation at churches on the reliability of the New Testament, and I wanted to incorporate this. And I had some very wise counsel and people saying, don't hold off. This could be legitimate and that would be amazing, but you cannot, for the sake of both credibility and clarity, put this out into the public if it hasn't. And unfortunately, that's what Karen King did.
Right.
Before it was really able to be analyzed and scrutinized, she vouched for its reliability. And Billy puts that on the screen. He puts that on the screen. I mean,
I try to describe this in my own little uneducated terms, but obviously Wes said it so eloquently that it has to be scrutinized through the community that does these things, that research these things to make it legit. Because you're putting your reputation on the line. So if you find something, you're not sure, but hey, it could be amazing. You're like, here, I need you guys. I need the community in this field to research this, and it could take a while. You're just gonna have to have some patience.
that number 3, that the evidence presses in the direction of a forgery could also stem from her commitment to scholarly rigor rather than external coercion. Yes. Like, commitment should be to scholarly rigor rather than external coercion. I don't understand why you would put that on the screen. I don't think he knows what he's put on the screen.
well, it,
Rose from the need to maintain the integrity of these institutions. Sound familiar? NASA making up lies about different things that they do. Yeah, they tell the truth in some things, but a lot of things they tell are obfuscated or lied about in other organizations.
you see, Wes, it's just like
I haven't entertained that.
I feel like he's taking advantage of people's understandable distrust of various institutions. I get that. But just
Yes. And that's what I was kind of, I cut it off right there. I will put the link to this whole podcast in the description. To where he plays upon his leaders, because he doesn't call them subscribers, of them distrusting the establishment, the science establishment. I mean, look, you got flat earthers, you got people scrutinize the Bible. Even Billy says things like, well, men wrote it. A man wrote it, so it's got to be, or he says they left this stuff out of this book and then they put it in this book and they all parallel each other. I mean, he says all of this stuff to discredit the Bible. That is what he is doing. There's aliens, there's these gods, and there's the emerald tablets, and there was pyramids on the moon, and our bodies are more adapted to Mars' atmosphere than Earth's atmosphere. He says some outlandish things, and then he preys upon these people who buy into these conspiracy theories. Okay, now I'm going to get into a little bit of the rant. And like I said, I had to find this, and I got it from this other guy's channel. And I edited it as best I could. It's not too bad. His audio is not that great, but it's not that bad either. So I might have to do this because this is actually, it's an hour and 30 minutes. And I had loaded this up on my media file, so... if anybody's interested in seeing it without any commentary, let me know. And this is, I sped it up, the audio, a little bit to where you could still understand it because, man, it would just take, this would be, a very long time. But it's most of the rant. So let me know if you want me to load it up with no commentary and you could see it for yourself without it. I did put the subtitles at the bottom, the caption, so you can kind of read along, and it's not too annoying, but I was concerned about Billy Carson flagging me on YouTube and making me take down the video. So this is why I did that, and it should be fair commentary, though, because he did load it up on YouTube. He was asking people to share it, and I'm doing an analysis. But I could, since I've altered it a bit by the speed of the speak, I might be able to get away with putting it up. But let me know. I mean, I'll give it a try. If you want to hear it with no commentary, I'd be more than glad to do it through my OBS and then shoot it over to YouTube. Now, actually, I could just put it up just from like this. I don't think I have to redo it. But anyway, this is going to be part 2. We'll get into some of this because this video is going to get long. Now, I think a little bit of this is laid over from my first video because I tried to sync up as best I could because of the time things were different. Because of when people do commentary, so it gets a little quacky. But again, let me know if you want me to load it up with no commentary, and I'd be more than glad to do that.
Within my own gated community, in walking distance, I didn't walk that night because it was a little chilly. I did get out in my slippers, and I took the car right around the corner, which took less than a minute. Walking would have taken maybe 3 minutes at the most. I come back to the house. I'm extremely angry and I'm extremely frustrated that I wasn't able to contact him. His phone was in do not disturb mode. So I tried to call first. I tried to call him like 4 or 5 times, evidence in my phone records. I texted him 5 or 6 times. I also texted him a copy of my do not consent, and I WhatsApped him a copy of my do not consent form at the same time, as will be evidence in the case. Then what happened? I come back to the house. I wake up my beautiful wife. I tell her what's going on, and we call his wife. We call defendant number 1's wife, a beautiful, incredible woman, very strong woman. Great person, great human being, like a sister to my wife. She's actually like a sister to my wife. They're born on the same day. They both are born on Valentine's Day. So that's something they really, really have in common, which created a bond between them. We give her a call. She answers the phone. She's not in America, which we knew that already. We figured she'd probably be up by then, even though it was 2 something in the morning, because she was out of the country and she was ahead of time in Europe. We told her what was going on. She had no idea of the extent of this. She was extremely frustrated and very worried and very pissed off at defendant number 1, her husband. And she
literally, she's pissed off at her husband. That he pissed you off. Now, every now and then you'll hear the other guy, like you heard a moment ago, like you'll hear or something. I mean, I edited it as best I could, but it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
He hopped on an airplane and flew straight back home from France that night, and came to our house the next evening. Came came to our house, sat down in our dining room with us, and we talked for a couple of hours about the situation. She was so apologetic and so sad and so sorrowful that somebody that she loved had done something like this to somebody that she also loved. She couldn't believe it. She was gasped and without any words that he would do something low down and dirty as this. She was completely distraught and disgusted. I was really upset.
Why would she be distraught and disgusted that her husband, Mark, did a podcast with Billy here? And Billy is hysterical. And he claimed his wife was hysterical. Billy is hysterical. Billy is hyperventilating that Mark is going to upload this video that because Wes just said, hey, where you're getting your sources, your sources are have been debunked. Why wouldn't Wes just say, why wouldn't Billy just go, oh, wow, put yourselves in that situation. So somebody says, well, hey, and has facts behind it that you're wrong. Are you really going to double down and fight it? I think most normal people would go, oh, wow. Boy, I was wrong. This was a teachable moment that we all can learn from. If you're wrong, you're wrong. Move on. Claim it. Own it. That's it. But why would Mark's wife be irate with Mark over something like this? I don't understand.
That he did not come with her. I thought that she'd bring him with her. That was the plan.
Which I'm thinking I don't believe it. Is what I'm saying. And I could be wrong. But I'm thinking this is ridiculous. Why would his wife be mad at him for uploading a video from their podcast? Who cares? What she's probably saying, I don't even care. I don't care what you do. Put the video up. I don't care. unless what he's claiming is, why would you hurt somebody that you love? So they've been betrayed.
And we sit there and we talk and figure this thing out. But he never came, just like a soft, gentle woman. He never came. He just stayed hiding somewhere, like a little girl. Didn't show up. So, okay, didn't show up, fine. He talked to the wife, he gave her hugs and kisses and tell her, look, this has nothing to do with you, man. This is just an unfortunate situation. It's an unfortunate situation. But at the end of the day, she got him to take all the videos down. He took them all down. He took down the response video and he took down the contrived, edited version of the debate, if you want to even call it a debate. I call it a defake. That's what it really was. An unqualified garbage. If somebody who really runs debates would have saw that, they would have laughed at us and said, what amateurs? This is garbage. That's how crappy it was.
So what are you worried about? If it was so crappy, an amateur, what are you worried about? Oh, let me know if anybody watches this. And shout out to my new subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. Yeah, that's amazing. I appreciate that. Let me know if the audio, the me speeding it up is annoying or because, man, if we let this drag out regular time, oh my God, we'd be here for 4 hours. But for me personally, it seems to be fine because I'm reading along to it and I can hear him okay, but not everybody's like me. We're all different. So just let me know in the comments, was the speed up a good thing? Just so we can get through this? Because it's painful, but funny and entertaining all at the same time, right?
But you got to take the video down because she really wears the pants in the family. She's really the boss. When she puts her foot down, everything happens. She's the one who makes that family move. Anyway, so that's done. The next day, they do get served with a letter from my attorney. It was a cease and desist, a formal do not dissent via cease and desist. Even though the videos have been taken down, that was already in motion because I contacted our attorney that same night. He picks up. I don't care what time of the day it is.
Sorry.
I don't care if it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. We're getting a response. So he was already working on it. So
I don't care what time it is. I'm going to make sure this video does not get out. That's what he's saying. I don't care what time it is. We're going to get to the bottom of this. Because this video, it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. Well, then what are you so worried about? That you're going to go sue these people, cease and desist, go to the guy's house in the middle of the night over an unprofessional video?
Email went out with a formal cease and desist. I guess that pissed him off that he got that letter after he had taken the videos down. That was already in motion. And it's nothing. It's not. It's just, hey, it's a formal, legal, I do not consent. Then he had to go.
And there's one of the little clips. I mean, it's such a split second, so I edited it the best I could. And, again, I apologize for the little hiccups. We'll call them hiccups. But yeah, there it is.
Pay for an attorney to respond to it, as he should. So he responded to it and confirmed that the videos have been taken down and they're deleted. We actually, in our do not consent, we asked all the podcasts that have been in on his channel be taken down, even from the past, because I'm the one who tried to help blow him up. When he had 5 subscribers, I gave him like 50 to 80,000 subscribers by going on his podcast. I'm one of the main reasons why he got to 100,000 subscribers on that platform. I gave him the most views he ever had in his life.
Me. I did this for him. He was nobody until he met me. He was nothing. In my last video, I pointed out every time that Billy gets a chance to say, I have an elevator at my house. I'm part of a, jet club. I have 5 air conditioners. I have my own clothing line. I have my own movie theater. Now, I've only met one person in my whole life. I've met a lot of people. I used to be in the hospitality business and management, and I met a lot of people. A lot of people. A lot of people from all over the world, too. Back then. And it's been a minute. Trust me. It's been a minute since I've done those things. But there was one person that I met in my whole entire life that seemed to go out of their way to tell you how much money they've got or how much everything that they have, and that everything they have is so good. One person. One person. Now, I'm sure, I don't know if I've even seen anybody online on YouTube world that's done this. I'm sure there are, but it just comes across as narcissistic and kind of stuck-uppy in a way. And I was always taught to be humble. Not that I'm always do what I'm supposed to do again, but it's inappropriate to talk about things like my parents used to tell us this. You don't talk, like if you buy somebody a gift, don't tell them how much it costs. It's inappropriate because it doesn't matter whether it was $5 or $500. The point of it is that it was a gift, and you shouldn't tell them how much you spent, because then you're looking for some validation or something to that effect. But anyway, I just wanted to point that out, that every chance he gets, it seems like, in this 3.5-hour video, because this is the first time I've seen him on his channel. I've seen him on the Rogan, and he was just basically talking about aliens and the Bible and all kinds of other crazy crap. But he's talking about himself. This is all about him. And then now he is pointing out, I did this for him. It's like he's one of the Pharisees, like pointing out, look what I have done. Look what I have done. What's the scene in Castaway? I've made fire! Look what I have made! No, but y'all get the point, is that he's not very humble, because he's pointed out all of those things I named off in my last video when I was analyzing it. It seemed like every chance he got, I got my phone blew up in the middle of the night. I was asleep in my movie theater. Like, he didn't have to tell us that. He could have just said my phone was blowing up in the middle of the night and I got up. What's going on? But then he goes on to say something to the effect, Billy, what happened? It looks like the video was fake. I mean, I don't even believe that somebody said that to him. I really don't, because the video clearly does not look fake or deep fake or whatever of that, But Anyway, I wanted to point that out, that Billy needs to be a little more humble. That's the point I want to make.
Because my name catches the algorithm. This is why this horde of cult followers are using my name, because they know it goes into the algorithm. They're just clout chasers because they don't have any knowledge. If they had knowledge, they can build their own platform on their own. They can build their own base of fans on their own. But since they don't know anything, the only thing they can do is create controversy and attract people through dark energy. They're just energy vampires. That's all.
Cult followers, a conspiracy, the Christian community across the world are out to get Billy Carson. And they're just clout chasers. Is he even believing the old thing he's saying? I mean, this is crazy.
Oh, they are. So the video goes out to the editor. That's defendant number 3. Defendant number 3. That's what I'm asking you a question tonight. Are you nervous? He's got nothing on me, as you said. He's got nothing on me. He just paid me. He paid me before, but he's got nothing on me. Oh, I got something on you. We're going to break that down tonight. We got something on you, defendant number 3. You have no idea what kind of hot water you put yourself in. Like you have, I mean, for a businessman, you got to be jumping in a box of rocks. Like, you didn't realize what you were doing, number 1, was illegal. You don't realize the financial...
He said that guy's dumber than a box of rocks. Oh, man. Like I said, Billy should have fell on the sword. He should have said, oh, well, I've been wrong. Let me investigate this. Let me check this out. But no, he's doubling down, sticking to his guns, that this video was fakery. It was fakery. But that other guy, the editor, he's dumber than a box of rocks.
Damages that I'm able to get now, and then the doxing that you attempted to do, that you tried to delete, you didn't realize that we had already copied all of that and logged it into evidence, and that we've already won case with that same exact doxing file that you used, which is fake information, as you'll see tonight when I showcase why. And I'm going to put some of the cases on my screen tonight. You, my friend, defendant number 3, are going to spend a lot of money. All the money, well, you only made probably $50, $60 on YouTube, so your Instagram isn't even monetized, so you made no money, except for the money that you got paid by the defendant number 1 to edit the video, which he pays you because you're his editor. And whatever this cult paid you as a bribe to get involved with them and whatever. But I'm going to break it all down in a minute. But what you did was, you gave me an easy case. Like, the easiest case out of all these cases is actually yours.
So, Wes, the editor, and Mark are in a conspiracy against Billy over a debate. Have you ever heard of such? Any debate? We've all seen a lot of debates. Some are good, some are bad. Some debates, the other guy just demolishes the other guy. It's how it is. It's how it goes. Boo-hoo. Boo-hoo. But this other guy's as dumb as a box of rocks. And they're all in a conspiracy against you. Come on, man.
So all this you were saying on video tonight about you got nothing to worry about, I got nothing on you, we got a lot on you. You're the one we have the most on. And, I know you're sleeping on your mom's couch up there in Michigan, but you're going to be sleeping there a lot longer because you won't be able to afford your own place anytime soon, okay? Because we're going to win this judgment against you. So let's get into this.
This shows you.
To defendant number 3. Let's go over a little bit more about this. Yeah, I'm gonna save him because that's like icing on the cake. I'm gonna save him. That's like icing on the freaking cake, man. Let me get into a little bit more about this deepfake. The deepfake. Let me get into this deepfake a little bit. Okay?
The deepfake. The fakery of the video. All right. Tell us how it's fake, my guy.
I told you what was happening in this thing. And a couple of the questions that have been brought up about the Sinai Bible and the gospel of Jesus' wife.
Is he going to try?
Let's take a look at a couple of things real quick. Let me get some of my windows open up here. Let me get some of this information out. Where's this PowerPoint at? Hold on a second. I want to put something on the screen for you guys so we can really get this information
and see
into our understanding. And I'm going to use this PowerPoint as my source material.
It was hard to edit out a split second, so I apologize for the little bleep outbursts.
Not because I need it, but because I have the sources on here. And that way, these people can't continue to contrive information, as I am going to be giving sources. And I'm going to give you guys a short video as well here in a second, okay? Let me just get this thing up here real quick, because this is very, very important. And we're going to go into a little bit of what defendant number 2 has tried to make 100,000 videos out of nothing. And what's so funny is his little henchmen and his little people that were already in the cult and already far left.
Oh my God.
You're ending Billy Carson's career on these 2 questions.
How are they far left? Do you even think that Wes is far left whatsoever? He's like the scholar who studies biblical literature history of the New Testament. But nope, he's some left-wing conspiracy theorist out to get Billy. He's part of the YouTube crime ring. Man, this is insane.
Really? No, you're building my career. And to add proof in that fact, this is the most people I've ever had on a live video.
Did you know?
Let me go back to my live chat real quick before I flip this PowerPoint. Where are we at now? I'm at 11,499 people. The most I've ever had was 5,000. You guys doubled my popularity on a live video in one day. Thank you so much. All the dark.
I think the reason why it's doubled is everybody wanted to see the train wreck, or just curious to see how he's going to debunk this debate, because I would assume, sometimes assumptions are dangerous, but I'm going to assume and go out on a limb here that a lot of them had already seen the video.
All your
This guy's
followers and all your cult.
So all of them had seen the debate, so they're wanting to see, well, how is he going to defend himself on claiming things from debunked literature?
People and all your people that are in your organizations that are coming to watch my video with that dark energy. How do you see the fall of Billy Carson? That's dark energy, that frequency that's coming here. You see this behind me? That's the face of God. God's not a man flying around with a magic wand granting wishes. God is a frequency, and it's your job to tune in. Y'all didn't tune in. See, I'm tuned in. So all this dark energy that you're bringing toward me,
That's the frequency of God behind him. Red flag, people. He is an occultist leader. I don't even think he comes across as charismatic, but I guess he is to an extent, because he's got 1.3 million subscribers. Oh, I'm sorry. His leaders. The Billy Carson Army. Wow. He said God's a frequency that's behind him. Okay.
Timothy converted that energy into money. That's exactly what I've done. So watch me tonight.
Yeah. Somebody.
Now, let's get into this. Let me get this. I gotta get this. I've got to get this. This PowerPoint in here real quick. I thought I had it on that computer, but I'm gonna send it over there real quick so I can open it, and then I'm gonna get back into defendant number 3 and break him all the way down. I'm gonna break him all the way down, guys.
Break it
He
down.
actually got on a video tonight on some show, like he's some type of superhero out here. This guy has 3 likes per post on social media, and he started a social media marketing company. We actually hired this guy, and his work was so bad we had to get rid of him. We had to fire him. He was great in other areas that we had things we had done with him in the past, which I will go over. And I'm going to read a lot of text messages from defendant number 3 as well. Tons and tons of text messages I'm going to read, and I'm going to expose his bed of lies and fabrication, and then I'm going to break down his doxing, and I'm going to show you why he's the easiest case for us to win. And he'll be sleeping on his mom's couch just a little bit longer after I get done.
Let's just say if the big if Billy somehow is able to sue defendant number 3. So you got Mark, you got Wes, you got defendant number 3. So I'm not sure which one Mark is. I know Wes is number 2. So the editor guy might be number 1. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I saw it last night. Somebody was keeping up with it, but then again, you know, I've slept since then. Let's just say if he manages to do this in court or whatever, which I'm thinking it's highly unlikely. But Billy has already lost in the world of public opinion, because millions have seen the debate. Millions, I'm assuming, and it's pretty good going out on this limb, and I don't think it's too far of a limb to say that most people who saw it were like, wow, Billy just got destroyed with facts. when Wes is saying you can Google it, the British Museum has these things, has the Sinai Bible. You can Google this stuff and get this information yourself. And that it's not like some big secret that debunking the Jesus was married was debunked. The woman Carol King came out and said, yeah, it's a fake. It's a fake. All of this is online. You can go and research it. So Billy, let's say if Billy wins, which I doubt it, but he's done lost public opinion because everybody's done seen the debate and doesn't see why he's going at it, balls to the wall, in trying to defend his position or try to make his followers think, well, don't look what's going over here, people. There's nothing to see. Listen to me. Believe it. Keep drinking my Kool-Aid.
Breaking this down, okay? All right, let me get this doggone PowerPoint over here. I'm gonna try it a different way. It's not cooperating with me, so I'm gonna try one other way. Because I want to get a little bit more into the deepfake and finally get a chance to say, turn this volume on.
Deepfake.
Finally get a chance to say what I want to say. And let's see if I can get this presentation in here. What's this? Because there's a lot I wanted to say and didn't get a chance to. But we're gonna go over some of that tonight. And so, defendant number 3, very interesting guy. Very, very interesting guy. He's one of the key figures in this whole operation. He's like the linchpin, if I can use that term. My good friend Terrence Howard. He's like the linchpin because linchpins also have to do with energy. So he's going to give.
No, he says it's good
and feeding it. And we'll get to the foundation of his agenda.
I think it's a mistake for him to bring up Terrence Howard. Remember, people, Terrence Howard said the universe was created by the sun pooping.
Eventually, most likely through discovery, but I'm hypothesizing that his failing business structure, his failing business model, put him in a situation where his lack of ability to do any real internet marketing and to gain any real following, he couldn't even build his own following, that he was offered in some way, shape, or form some type of money from this cult organization, who are now in contact.
Oh my God. It's a cult organization. Hey, Billy's bread and butter is based on conspiracy theories or hypothesis, just like he said. But this organization is out to get him. And if anybody has seen the debate, which I recommend you do, I'm going to put a link in the description of the debate and a couple of other links of the footage I'm using here. Does anybody think Mark, the intellectual? No, Mark seems to come across as a good guy and legit on talking about his faith, and he believes in the crucifixion and this kind of thing. But look, the point I'm trying to make. Do you think Mark, even though his wife wears the pants, according to Billy, is part of some conspiracy organization out to destroy Billy Carson? Just inquiring minds.
With the proper authorities, several authorities, which I'll talk about one more time before we end this live, those exact authorities. And he utilized that potential revenue, I don't know if he did, so I'm saying potential revenue, that he got from the bribing or whatever the offer was. It was very enticing to him to bring the popularity to him. He really needed it so badly. And so, yes, uploading now. And so by that offer, whatever offer they made him to get involved in the situation and to cultivate and to manipulate Defendant 1, he successfully did that to Defendant 1. And he was able to acquire this illegal footage, and doing illegal, and then he had a decision to make. Am I going to utilize it, or am I going to do the right thing and let it go? But he had an incentive. There was an extra incentive for defendant number 3 to take this footage and put it out. He has a direct connection in some way, shape, or form to defendant number 1, which we will find out in discovery.
Aren't we glad he did? Aren't we glad we got to see that debate? Because, man, it was epic. Just saying. I'm glad he did. Now, whether he took bribes and all this other craziness that Billy's insinuating, I don't know.
The money that you thought you were making and the popularity you thought you were making is all going to be spent on attorney's fees. And I don't care if I win or
Oh, check this out.
spend money. You see? Let's see if this is it here. So one of the questions
You hear what he said?
I brought up was,
Okay, so what he said, because we kind of got broke up in there, what he was saying, he goes, he don't care about how much he's going to pay for the attorney fees. He just wants them to spend their money. He just wants money. That's what he talks about is money. Because that's all he's up. That seems like that's all he's about. So he just wants them to just blow a bunch of money on attorney fees and things of this nature.
the information about the Sinai Bible, which has a lot of differences than the King James Version of the Bible. It's also called the Codex Sinaiticus. And what I had said in a few podcasts, which probably only 2 or 3 podcasts I had mentioned, and of course, reels and clips were made, and they were then.
Did y'all see where it said Sinaiticus? It came up with a Y. You'll have to catch it. I'm not gonna. Well, I guess I could come back a hair. Let's see. Well, no, it might be a problem. I don't want to mess up the feed here. Right before this, on this, when I was looking up and reading along with it, it was spelled with a Y. Sinaiticus, and he said Sinaiticus is spelled in it. The generated closed caption here spelled it with a Y.
It didn't put out all over the place.
Sorry about
But in the
that.
Sinai Bible, it appears that Jesus had never been crucified. I said it's quite possible that Jesus was never crucified. Not once anywhere that say Jesus was never crucified. It's quite possible that Jesus was never crucified, or he might not have been crucified, depending on what podcast I was on. So this question came up during the deepfake as not a question in a way that would be asked in a real debate, but it was an attack from the very beginning because they thought they had answers.
Every time he says deepfake, it just cracks me up. But again, this is dangerous talk, and he's doubling down. He is doubling down. Now, at the beginning of this video, y'all saw that on IP's channel, Wes and them discussed this. And then Wes was saying, I don't even know why he puts this up here. He doesn't even know what he's putting up here. Because none of this up here is debunking anything that was discussed. Again, I think he preys upon his audience that doesn't research and maybe watch these other interviews to get facts or even look up what these other people are saying, right?
That would debunk whatever I said in a podcast somewhere one day. So the Codex Sinaiticus, often referred to as the Sinai Bible, is a 4th century Greek manuscript of the Bible. In contrast, the King James Version, is the KJV, is an English translation completed in 1611. Comparing these two involves examining differences in textual context, translation choices, and theological interpretations. And so here's the textual variations. Scholars estimate that there are approximately 14,800 differences between the Codex Sinaiticus and the King James Version. These variations range from minor discrepancies to wording to significant differences in the content. For instance, the Codex Sinaiticus includes books like the Epistle of Barnabas and the Shepherd of Hermas, which are absent in the King James Version. Notable omissions.
What does any of this have?
Because the Gospel of Barnabas is it's not a good legitimate source.
Presented in the King James Version are missing from the Codex Sinaiticus. Mark 16:9 through 20. The longer ending Mark detailing the post-resurrection appearances of Jesus is absent, doesn't exist. It's not in there. That's biblical archaeology review. Biblical archaeology review. That's the source.
Which y'all heard back at the beginning of the video where they were discussing this, that it is in there. Where Mark and Wes and IP were discussing it. But he just leaves out things, and that's dangerous too, because you have to read things in context.
It's one of them. There's 8 sources, but that's just one of them. John 53:8-11. The account of the woman caught in adultery is not included. Biblical archaeology review. Source. Luke 20.
Go back to the beginning of the video. Wes and them discuss that as well.
You know what?
The phrase, and was carried up into heaven, describing Jesus' ascension, is missing. Biblical archaeology review. Now, they base 100,000 videos, and I do mean 100,000 videos, of complete foolishness off of this information. And I'm sure they'll make a response.
Okay. 100,000 videos of complete foolishness. Well, this is apparently Billy has got a whole bunch of videos on his own channel and from him being on other podcasts of him spouting a bunch of nonsense. Nonsense. And then he claims that other people, maybe such as myself, Wes, Mark, IP, hundreds of others who have covered all of this. So everybody's wrong but Billy. Let that sink in.
Video, I'm talking more crap, using my name. They can just listen. It is what it is. Those are opinionated videos. At that point, that doesn't matter. But the original video that I did not consent to, I'll be paid my pound of flesh for every appearance that it shows up on the entire internet. I will be. Trust me on this. Or there'll be judgments. And when you go to buy a house, or when you go to sell something, when you go to do anything, I'll have to get paid first. And I'm going to take all that money, all those winnings, and I'm going to build. I'm going to buy a huge strip of land. Me and my wife already figured it out today. We're going to buy a huge strip of land, and we're going to build mini homes on there for homeless people with all the money.
Why haven't you already done that? Because I know this guy's got to be at least a millionaire. He says he has over 10 million followers, leaders over all the platforms that he's affiliated with, associated with his name. So with 1.3 million, I mean, the guy's made some money. Why is he telling us this now? Is this to make us go, oh yeah, you do need to sue them and get that money so you can go do this for homeless people? I don't know.
Document, we're going to post it. We're going to turn your darkness into light. Translation differences. KJV, translators worked from a limited set of late medieval Greek manuscripts, primarily the Textus Receptus and Hebrew text available in the early 17th century. In contrast, the Codex Sinaiticus is an earlier manuscript, reflecting a different textual tradition. These distinct source materials contribute to differences in wording and interpretation between the two versions.
Yeah, there's different
implications. The variations between the Codex Sinaiticus and the KJV have...
There is differences. There is differences. And Wes points them out. You're leaving that out as well. It does say in the Codex that there was the crucifixion. I mean, you are leaving so much out. And again, when he was running this live, somebody in his chat, in Billy's chat, wanted to know where his sources were coming from. And he kind of chastised them. He says, hey, get your head out of the sand, get your head out of the clouds, or whatever, how he said it. And then, no, pay attention. You just need to pay attention. So it's like nothing to see here. Don't worry about where I got my sources. Just believe me when I tell you this. Anybody tells you that, you need to run the other way. Because they are a snake oil salesman. If he doesn't want to go, oh, well, let me show, if somebody posts in his chat, well, hey, where are you getting your sources? Because we want to check it out too. He should have said, oh, hey, no problem. Here you go. This is where I'm getting this. If you have nothing to hide, right? If you have nothing to hide.
And to differing theological understandings. For example, the absence of certain passages in the Codex Sinaiticus, such as the longer ending of Mark, affects narratives concerning the resurrection and ascension of Jesus. These differences highlight the importance of textual criticism and biblical studies to understand the development and transmission of biblical texts over time. While it's challenging to specify the exact number of words translated differently between the Codex Sinaiticus and the KJV due to their distinct textual basis and translation methodologies, the estimated 14,800 differences encompass both minor and significant variations that have implications for biblical interpretation and theology.
So what Billy's trying, let me pause.
Okay, so we're both wanting to stop at the same spot. The thing is that, okay, maybe they are different, but you are still discrediting the Bible. That is what you're doing. Billy is doubling down on his stance. This doesn't have anything to do with the debate and how Wes debunked him and saying your sources are inaccurate of the comparison that you're making. So Billy here is trying to double down and go, well, look, this says this. Translation differences. It's still not giving us he didn't give us the source of where he got this information because it probably doesn't exist. He just copied and pasted and put up what he wanted. I don't know. I'm just going out on a limb here. But it's still not addressing the crutch of the issue of the debate about the crucifixion, about Jesus is having a wife, because those were the main two topics, the main two. And Billy's just doubling down, going, well, there is differences. And then maybe he wasn't crucified. Maybe he was married. He's still alive. His descendants are still alive today, which he just said that earlier.
The direct source from actual academic books. I'm not giving you this off my dome. I'm reading academic books. Come on now, tune in. Get your head on right. This is not basic IQ stuff.
Oh, that's it right there. That him responding. He's responding to the text, and I wished I had that, but again, he done took it down. So one of his guys, somebody in his audience, had typed in, "Where are you getting this?" And then Billy snapped at him, and that's what Billy said.
Now, see, even
Next thing was about the gospel of Jesus' wife. I'll pull that back up in a minute.
When you get
Jesus' wife, that question came up. So, what's the question? In podcasts, I have been noted as saying it's quite possible they discovered the gospel of Jesus' wife. Fact. And then I go on to say, in maybe 3 podcasts, it's quite possible that Jesus never died, that he may have been married. And his Merovingian bloodline could still be on the planet till this very day. My wording is very specific and basic. Now,
He has said that numerous times on all kinds of podcasts that he is spouting this.
let's take a look at something here. I know these guys are jumping up and down here. Oh my goodness, we got to debunk it. Go ahead and do what you got to do. Listen, man, I'm the king. I'm the GOAT, okay? You guys are just riding on my coattail.
wait a minute.
No real knowledge. You guys know nothing. It's just a whole bunch of heretical, talk for looking for clout chasing and a whole bunch of stuff you guys are doing there, just trying to make it look attractive, but it's really just a bunch of trash. It has no real value for anybody. Nothing you're
Oh, like so this,
doing is uplifting anybody. Nothing you guys are doing is changing anyone's life. Nothing you people are doing over there is helping anyone. You guys are spending tens of thousands of dollars on fake bots and fake YouTube accounts and sending people hordes of
I think what Wes is doing, IP, Mark, all of them, David Wood, they are helping people. They're helping them understand the Bible. What Billy is doing is anti-Christ. He's doing the opposite. He is poking holes into the Bible by getting you, the people who's listening to him, to rethink it, to rethink their ideology, their religion, their personal relationship with God. If there's no crucifixion, then what's the point? Why is he doing this? Because he's a charlatan. This is his bread and butter. But it's dangerous. And for him to say that these other people are leading others down the wrong path is disingenuous, because they are looking at facts. They're looking at texts that are legit, because that's all we can go by, right? That's all we can go by. But Billy here wants you to ignore all that and just listen to him and Terrence. They have the answers to the universe and to the questions that we all ask ourselves, because it's in the Emerald Tablets.
people to attack and show their true Christian colors.
Debate is raging among academics and religious leaders over a recently discovered piece of ancient papyrus that makes a reference to Jesus Christ having a wife. Karen King, an expert in the history of Christianity, unveiled the 4th century artifact, which she says is the only existing ancient text quoting Jesus explicitly referring to having a wife, whom he identifies as Mary. King says the fragment of Coptic script is a copy of a gospel, probably written in Greek in the 2nd century.
But what is, of course, exciting about this fragment is that it's the first case we have of Christians claiming that Jesus had a wife.
Tradition has...
Goes on to talk about, I can't say too much of it because obviously I don't want to get.
Okay, so that clip you heard at the beginning of this video, if y'all remember, you're paying attention, that they were saying this clip is like from 2012. And then it was just a few years later they debunked it all, that Karen King jumped the gun. She jumped the shark is what she did. She jumped the shark. And she staked her reputation on it, and then eventually came out and said no. She said no, it's a fake. That she trusted the guy that gave her this fragment of parchment paper that was just really small. But Billy is being disingenuous by not downplaying the rest. But he does go on to say that she was pressured by the Christian community.
Right, but it goes on to talk about the fact that this gospel of Jesus' wife, this text has been examined, it's been looked at, it's been researched, it's been everything you can think about. Dozens of academics.
You see my screen?
The world, and everyone's looking at this thing, and it's creating a big stir, and it's creating a big hoo-ha in the whole Christian community because it can potentially upturn the apple cart and everything else. There's also some talk.
See, that's what he wants. He wants the apple cart to be turned. He wants the Christian Bible to be scrutinized and called debunked. He wants to debunk the Bible. Listen to everything he says. It's kind of clearly pointing that way. That's what he wants. Or he's being so arrogant and brazen, and his attitude, you know, that he could just spout these things. There's a go behind it. Yeah, he touts the alien and all of this crap, but he has something against Christianity. He has legitimate against the Bible, and that he wants that apple cart turned over. He wants this stuff to be verified. He can just taste it. That's how bad he wants it.
Maybe this thing is real. Maybe it's not real. Maybe it's fake.
Well, it is
It
fake.
reads like something out of a Dan Brown thriller. A Harvard professor is contacted by an anonymous collector with a tantalizing artifact, a small scrap of papyrus covered with an ancient text, making the first known reference to the wife of Jesus. The notion that Jesus might have been married sparked controversy in the Christian world. And I'm joined now by the Harvard scholar at the center of it, Karen King, is a professor of early Christian history at the Harvard Divinity School. And welcome. Thank you. So we're very intrigued about this collector. That's something that you have kept very secret. Would that lend more credibility to this if you could say where this originated?
Well, if we knew actually more about the find itself, you know, who found it in Egypt, how, you know, the history of it since the find, that would be of enormous use. You know, when things are found by professional archaeologists, that gives us really great information. But I think that a lot of people who own these things and who trade in them are anonymous. And so for me, the issue about knowing his identity, I don't think makes any difference. What really matters is the kind of scientific testing that's been done and that kind of work.
So this scrap is tiny.
It goes on to talk about how much scientific testing has been done.
I think both makes a difference, is knowing where it was found, who found it. Who found it? Who gave you this? So whoever gave it to her has an agenda. He wants to turn over the apple cart of Christianity and try to say, oh, you Christians, y'all were wrong. Y'all been wrong for 2 millennium. Y'all been wrong. Y'all been duped. That's what they want.
She really believes, and she's gone on dozens of interviews about this, that this thing was real. Now, maybe it's not real. Does that even matter?
It does matter.
In my podcast, or podcast that I've been in,
I'll agree with the guy who I got this clip from. It does matter.
I actually blatantly say that it could be that Jesus was married, and he may have had a wife, and
See, now he's trying to walk.
Now, why would I still have that opinion after people?
I think what he was going on to say, and I agree, is that he's trying to walk back that of him saying Jesus was married. So he's trying to walk it back and say, well, maybe. See, now he can walk it back because now he's been confronted by West that this has all been debunked. I don't know, guys. I'm going to go out. I go out on a lot of limbs here, and I'm going to think that because Billy is intelligent. He is not a stupid man. He has an agenda. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say, I think he knew it the whole time. I don't know. If he has all these people working with him and listening to the rhetoric that he's saying, and nobody pulled him to the side and go, hey, man, there's a potential that your whole thesis is going to get blown up in your face because this has been debunked for a decade. I don't know, guys. I mean, think about it. Come on, you're going to tell me he didn't know this, and he's been saying this.
Academics come out and try to say that this thing isn't real. Well,
Why would you?
Let me put back up my PowerPoint. Hold on a second.
Why would they come out and say it ain't real? Because it's not. They discovered this.
Is Is it possible Karen King was explicitly pressured into stating that the gospel of Jesus' wife was likely a forgery? It's possible to consider factors that may have influenced her acknowledgement of the fragment's questionable authenticity. Scholars, especially those in high-profile positions, can face significant academic, institutional, and public scrutiny, which might feel like pressure.
Wait a minute.
It could put pressure on them to some degree.
The Christian crime gang syndicate pressured her. Said, you can't say this because our whole Christianity is going to be dismantled. I mean, man, come on. That is out there. That is out there. Big time. Anybody can go sit here and research this right now, that this has been discredited. And let me tell you, atheists, people who hate Christians, Christianity, they've all been probably sent for 1,000 years, have been trying to debunk the Bible. And they still haven't been able to do it. But boy, they're trying. And Billy here is one of those on the bandwagon to try to discredit it. Again, I'm going to go out and just say, I think he knows exactly what he's doing. He's just doing it to get clicks and likes and people follow him because he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. But he literally probably knows this is all BS. And he's just still doubling down because of his pride. I don't know. That's just my theory.
So what you're saying is when people are doing these things, when people are, coming up with discoveries that could upturn the apple cart, it actually puts a lot of pressure on the Christian community.
Pressure? You don't know pressure.
Because they have this mainstream ideology that they don't want to bend or break because it's been in place for eons. And what kind of academic pressure can
a mainstream ideology? I don't think Christianity is mainstream right now. It's more of the ideology of worldly things. You know, the woke tried to take over, but then that got batted back down. But people were waking up and going, what? But this is insane. This is insane what he's saying.
they put on you? Now I'm going to go into some actual recent, or not recent, but well, fairly recent, in my terms of understanding history, dates and times and geological timescales, evidence of this happening before. And I'm not saying this thing is 100% real. What I'm telling you is I'm giving you a different perspective, which is what I always do. Well, reputable scholars publish detailed examples.
That's what he does. He wants to give a different perspective to get people to click. But his perspective is dangerous because there's too many holes in that ship, and his ship is sinking. It's sinking fast. Most cult leaders, these charismatic people, Jim Jones, the divinity, what was it? Was it the divinity compound or whatever? Who was the guy? Who was the other guy? That other group that they all committed suicide. Because the comet was coming over. I mean, this is just crazy stuff. But these people, sooner or later, too many holes just start creeping up in that ship, and Billy's just trying to patch holes here in his sinking ship.
Nations and institutions emphasize rigorous standards, and this overwhelming consensus could have created a sense of academic obligation for King to align with the evidence. She was extremely gung-ho for a very long time and fought against saying it was fake. That's an absolute fact. She fought against it initially. After the story gained international attention, there was...
She fought against that it was fake? She went up against these people who said, hey, man, this came off a PDF file. Bruh.
Considerable media focus on King and her research. A lot of pressure. Sounds like defendant number one's text messages. The pressure he was under. Sounds familiar to you? He was being attacked. He told me he was under so much pressure he couldn't take it. Investigators report reputable scholars publish detailed examinations over...
If he was under any kind of pressure, it would have been like the other guy going, bro, this is epic. This is epic. Billy Carson just got hammered. This is gold, and it is gold, and that's true. Like, if that, I don't know if you want to call that pressure or getting giddy. Like, bro, Wes just annihilated Billy in this podcast you just did. You have got to post this. You have got to post this. Is that pressure? That's like, man, we've finally, and even if their conviction, if Mark has known Billy for this long, he's got to know Billy is leading his flock off a cliff. So in a way, it's good that Mark and this other defendant guy, I can't think of his name, the editor guy. I know he's been on a couple of podcasts and he's done some short videos, but maybe they, this is speculation, maybe they've realized Billy's flock is going off a cliff. And if these two guys are Christians and realizes we do need to post this would be a good thing for the public to see. And maybe, if they were thinking this way, that Billy would see the errors of his ways. But no, Billy has doubled down.
Okay, so there you go. The public scrutiny and media. After the story gained international attention, there was considerable media focus on her research. Investigative reports, such as Atlantic's expose, further cast doubt on the papyrus. So an outside source came and said, no, we can't. They got pressure, and they came with the external pressure and said, no, we can't let this go out. This can't be known as accurate.
Oh, man.
This public spotlight might have added external pressure to respond transparently. Institutional and professional expectations. Harvard Divinity School and other academic institutions would naturally be cautious about potential reputational damage, and it's conceivable that indirect pressure arose from the need to maintain the integrity of these institutions. Sound familiar? NASA.
So again, Christianity, I don't know. This Christian organization that's around the world all got together and put pressure to say, don't do this. Don't reveal our secrets. Because our whole world will come crumbling down.
Making up lies about different things that they do. Yeah, they tell the truth in some things, but a lot of things they tell are obfuscated or lied.
All right.
And other organizations within government and everywhere else. Especially when you're talking about anything doing with government and religion. Those two things are filled with the most lies and obfuscation and oppression. Personal integrity. King's acknowledgement that the evidence presses in the direction of forgery could also stem from her commitment to scholarly rigor rather than external coercion. So I'm also saying, hey, maybe she wasn't coerced. Or maybe she was. Now, another thing that came up was this. I wasn't talking. This is all the talking being done for me. So I caught this and I remember it because I haven't watched all these videos. I watched about 30 minutes of one of them and I realized how much editing was done, how heavily edited and dubbed that was. And I realized it was garbage. Let me show you what I mean by dub.
He was not edited. I'm going to put the link in the description down below. Y'all can see the debate. He was not edited. He had ample time to talk. Ample time to talk, to give his responses. He answered questions from Wes. Wes answered questions from him. It didn't look like it was some deep fake AI generated garbage.
This is a video of me. Let me see if this is in here. Let me find this. Where's this video at? This is a video of me speaking in Korean. 안녕하세요 여러분. 저는 빌리 카슨입니다. 포빗은 노래계로도 알려져 있죠. 만약 여러분이 성장 가능성이 있는 회사에 투자하고 싶다면 저희를 꼭 살펴보셔야 해요. 기억하세요. 1라운드에서는 주가가 주당 1달러였어요. 왜냐하면 저희의 사전평가액이 2천만 달러였거든요. 스타트업 치고 나쁘지 않죠. 우리는 정말 놀라운 성과를 냈고 몇 달 후에 저희의 사전평가액이 3천만 달러로 올랐어요. I got it on the screen, but let me hide that. There you go. Anyway, so yeah, I was talking Korean.
I'm probably going to repeat what dude said. He said the only deep fake that was created of Billy Carson was Billy Carson. Oh, man. Well, that's going to wrap up part 2. We still have an hour and 11 minutes left of this. Again, if you guys want me to post this, which is like an hour and 30 minutes, it's most of the 3-hour meltdown. But I sped up the audio because, oh my God, like I said, we'd be here for days. It just would take forever. And let me know if the speeding it up wears you out or whatever, but just let me know that. And wow. It just keeps getting worse for him taking down this video. Man, it's like, bruh. you just dug this hole. You should have, like I said at the beginning of the video, you should have just come on and fell on the sword and said, you know what, I need to rethink a lot of this. And people would have respected you for that. Because we all do make mistakes. We'll give you the benefit of the doubt. If you could go, you know what, I need to get a team. We need to look into this. And okay, you know, maybe what Wes is saying, there's some legitimacy to this, which there was. I mean, Wes is pointing you out to websites to go to discover it for yourself and for the people who were watching the videos to go and look. But you just doubled down. You just dug this hole. Worse for you. Again, it's a teachable moment that when we're wrong, we need to own it and then move on and try not to make the same mistakes twice. And just pray for him and his family. Billy, I know we're having fun watching this meltdown, but this is serious stuff as far as spiritual. And either he's being attacked, some kind of spiritual warfare going on in him to make him want to turn over that apple cart with Bible text and Christ not being crucified and all of this nonsense, and him just harping on demons and cave paintings. But seriously, just pray for him that that he can come to some kind of realization that maybe he does need to rethink things. And there you have it.